Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to visit my mother in palliative care? Original story. My family is formed of cougars and sugar daddies, and I hate all of them. Except my grandpa, my mom's dad, who does not give a damn about anyone. He is the reason I am alive and well, and thriving. I'm currently 21, but this story goes on to the very back when I was 5, when my mom got married to a guy named Vladimir. Vlad, if you find this, then screw you. He is the most selfish person I've ever seen. After she and him got married, my mother started to leave me to my grandpa frequently. At first, it was for date nights. Then it has become after school. And then it became a full-time arrangement because that was what his little Vladdy wanted. Vlad is a sugar babe, by the way. My mom was 34. Vlad was 23 when they were married. And my mom's family is really rich. All of my mother's family, except Grandpa, adored him. And they hated my grandpa for pointing out the fact that my mom was neglecting me. When I was 9, my custody was granted to my grandpa. It was a painful process, and as a result, we have become by our own. Mom and Vladdy had their own lives after it, and I only saw them in family vacations. Last week, there was a call from Vladimir, saying that my mom has a terminal colon cancer, and she's currently in a palliative care unit. He said she wants to see you one last time before she leaves this world. They live in a city that is 12 hours by car. I'm not gonna take a plane in the circumstances of the world, so just said I don't have time for you, and hung up the phone. And then our extended family started to call us. I wouldn't bother with their opinions, but my closest friends who know all of this said I might have been very cruel, and that she'd served a chance for closure, so I came here. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Sounds like there was a decade where she had the ability to make amends and chose not to. She lived her life that way. She can die that way. Your lifestyle determines your death style. Not the a-hole. You don't owe her anything. She didn't act as a parent to you. Your grandpa did. Whether you want to give her closure or not, that's up to you. But your mom isn't doing this for you. She's doing it for herself. Yep, any closure is for Opie, not the mom. She lost her chance at it with persistent neglect. Not the a-hole. You might have been cruel, but so what? She was cruel to you. She can reap what she sowed. Would be excessively kind to visit? Yes. But you don't owe her anything. Only visit her if it will help you. If you want /need /are interested in that closure, then go for it. Otherwise, you live your best life. And please know her behaviors are always about who she is, not about who you are. You deserved better. Not the a-hole. She's your mother through biology, but she stopped being your parents when she let your grandpa raise you. You owe her nothing. She wants you to visit so she can feel better about how badly she treated you. Do not give that to her. And now for the update. So, after all of your opinions and suggestions, I decided to give a Zoom call and it was enlightening. I forgave someone, but it wasn't my mom. It was Vladimir. I will never ever forgive my mom, but we had some kind of closure that I will tell after what happened with Vladimir. When my custody case was happening, there were photos and proof materials that I didn't know where they came from. Turns out it was all Vladimir's stuff and help. He said he was worried about my mom and me being together, so he helped Grandpa discreetly, and my custody was transferred to my grandpa. All of the presents that I got in my birthday that was told from my mother was actually Vladimir. He also helped my grandpa on business and about his will. I feel so sorry for alienating him so much, but he said he wanted me to stay away from my mom, so he alienated himself too from the equation. We are planning to come together after the lockdown is over in my area. I also learned why he got married to my mom, and honestly, I do not blame him after I heard what my mom offered to him to be with her. He was desperate. And besides me, my mom was a good person when they were together and cared for him really well. My mom, though, she said she did not regret how she acted about me, and she said she knew she was wrong, but did not care. It was kind of shocking, but not surprising. She admitted that she should have left me to her dad when I was way younger and moved on with her life. And she wished me a happy and joyful life, and she said she wasn't asking for any forgiveness because she did not have any what-ifs about the process, and her only mistake was resisting in the custody case. It was a closure, not a good one, but it was. Our relatives were delighted when we talked, but me and Vladimir decided to cut contact with them after my mother's death like my grandfather. They can have their lives to themselves. My mom is still in palliative care, and the doctor responsible for her said to be prepared because it could happen at any moment. I decided I will attend her funeral because, after all, at the end, she admitted her mistakes, and even though she is a bad parent, she was honest and she earned my respect. So I am not gonna spare a last goodbye from her. That was all, and thank you for suggesting me a last talk even though I am not the a-hole. Not the a-hole? Wow, thanks for the update. It took an unexpected turn. I am glad you found the answers you seek for. In the end, it seems your mom just never intended to be a mom, and your grandfather was the right choice. I wish you and your grandfather a happy long life. Wow, Vlad wasn't the bloodsucker I thought he was. Desperation and money can make people act in ways that run counter to their individual morals. Seems like he wanted to do right, but in a way that didn't jeopardize himself. Dude was stuck. I'm glad things worked as well as could be expected, and that you had a silent helper in your side. All the best to you. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I never intended to come back to the US after visiting my dad? My name is Daisy, and I am 19 female. My dad is Australian and my mom is American. I have dual citizenship. I have never really liked living with my mom. I have talked to my dad about moving to Australia for years. He told me that when I am 18, I can move in at any time and he would help me get everything worked out. And he kept his word. In 2019, I shipped a lot of my belongings, packed bags, took my needed paperwork, and left for the summer and never came back. I told my mom I was visiting longer and made excuses, but I never intended to go back. With everything that happened in December 2019, I told my mom I could not leave. I guess I didn't have the guts to explain almost 7 years of BS. Dad left when I was 12. She remarried 3 months later, and suddenly I had a stepbrother that she seemed to favor more. I just felt like I was a guest in their home. I finally had a talk with my mom, and she called me an a-hole for it. I explained to her that I didn't intend to go back. I had everything I wanted with me in Australia. She said, "What about paperwork?" I explained I took everything when I turned 18 and graduated high school. I said that I didn't intend to go to college when this was over, and I had applied to uni here in Australia. I was happy. Dad said he would support me for a few years, and I was not going to be keeping my US citizenship. She started crying and asked if I hated her. I asked her why she never showed me I was more important than her new marriage, that while she was my mom, I didn't really know how to forgive her for feeling alienated. I said I didn't want to talk for a while and hung up. Now I feel like an a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. For everyone saying you're the a-hole or everyone sucks here, they are wrong. Your mother chose to get married 3 months after divorcing your dad. That's not sane. She then basically picks her new husband and stepson over her own daughter. She chose to be entirely selfish and put her needs over being a good mom. She sounds like someone with narcissistic tendencies. I don't blame you for moving away. Also, you're an adult and can choose where you want to live. Your dad seems a lot more supportive. You didn't owe your mom any conversation because she clearly wouldn't have listened and would have sabotaged you leaving. To all the other posters, do you not see the abuse her mother put her through? Like, it was bad enough she felt she needed to escape. I know what it's like, and it's doubtful that some of these posters do. You owe your mother nothing at all. Thank you for understanding. It was hard to explain to people I knew, unless they had seen/been to my house. Most of the time, people thought my mom must be great because she didn't care where I went. But it was really lonely, and I felt like no one cared, outside of my dad and friend group. Not an a-hole. It sounds like you were in a difficult position and you felt really hurt by your mom. Ideally, you would have told her sooner, once you were over here in Australia. But I think you did your best given your age and how you were feeling. It's pretty telling that she didn't know how upset you were and didn't even notice that you shipped all your important stuff over here. Welcome to Australia, mate. Also pretty telling, she didn't say, "I'm so sorry for not noticing," but ask, "Do you hate me?" Classic manipulative/narcissistic tactic. Not a-hole. Your mom didn't notice you'd moved all your stuff out of your room. Didn't notice your important papers were gone. Didn't seem to give a crap you'd scrubbed your existence from the house. You did the right thing for you. Good luck with your new life in Australia. She also asked about the paperwork right away. That implies that she would have tried to stop Opie from going. She clearly made the right decision. And as for her mother, actions have consequences. Too little too late. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for wanting my parents to meet our newborn before my wife's mother? I, male 27, just had an argument about this with my female 24 wife. And 2 weeks ago, we had our first child, and she's a healthy baby girl. Some background. She is the first grandchild on both sides. I come from a large family with 5 siblings, and my wife grew up as an only child in a single-parent household. Now, my wife is very close to her mother, which is understandable, and me and mother-in-law have a great relationship as well. Our original plan was for mother-in-law to move in with us during the later stages of the pregnancy because my wife wanted her there for support, and I completely understood and had no issues with that. Now the issue is that mother-in-law lives abroad, and as you all know, COVID happened, and so mother-in-law's country went into lockdown and pretty much put a stop to all international travel. So our original plan didn't happen. This made my wife very sad. She had been looking forward to having her mother close. Again, completely understandable. Pregnancy is scary and no joke. My parents and 3 of my siblings, however, live 2 houses down the road. And during the pandemic, we have been keeping them in our bubble. We have been having dinners and hangouts regularly. Now, here is our issue. We have been home for 1.5 weeks. We have not seen anyone, and again, I have not pushed us to see anyone. But I did ask my wife when she reckoned she was ready for my parents and siblings to meet their new niece and grandchild. She replied a bit annoyed that she wanted her mother to be the first one besides me to meet and hold her in real life, and that this was very important to her. Under normal circumstances, I would not object, but we don't know when they will be opening up for international travel. And for mother-in-law to be vaccinated and to fly over the Atlantic could potentially take months. I said it was really unfair to let my family wait for such a long time to meet their first grandchild, especially when they live so close. This did not sit well with her, and my wife and I had an argument. She said that since she gave birth and carried a pregnancy, she had a final say. Normally I would agree, but we don't even know when mother-in-law can come over, and I really want my parents to meet our daughter as well. They are eager. They have not pushed or asked in any way, but I can tell from talking to my mother that she can barely contain herself. My wife called me a massive a-hole, and that I refused to listen to her and could not possibly understand what women go through. I was just baffled and sad, and I feel I need outside perspective on this. Would I be an a-hole if I took our daughter to see my parents? Would I be an a-hole if I took our daughter to see my parents? Without your wife's permission? Absolutely, you're the a-hole. That would be a huge betrayal. Obviously, your child is likely to meet your parents before hers, but now is not the time to push this. You shouldn't be starting arguments and complaining about what's really unfair when your wife is only 10 days postpartum, coping with her first newborn baby, and missing her mother. You need to back off and be kind. I was also thinking, maybe wait for a bit longer than 1.5 weeks out of the hospital before going into this topic that is clearly very important to her. I'd put everyone sucks here because of her comments on having the final say because she gave birth. Agreed. I don't get the amount of not a-hole this post is getting. His wife gave birth less than a fortnight ago. She's probably dealing with a lot. Physically because of the birth and taking care of a newborn, but also mentally for the same reasons and also not having her mother, the one person, aside from Opie, she truly wanted present, near her during this whole thing. Opie, your parents will definitely meet your kids soon, but your wife needs kindness and support, not pressure over what other people want. If you take your kid without her permission, don't expect your wife to forgive you at all. That kind of betrayal breaks relationships. Put yourself in her place. Imagine being pregnant for the first time, wanting your mother there and not having her. Even worse, you don't even know when you'll see her, when she'll see your kid. You would probably feel awful and not be particularly rational. You would be a mess, and you would need time to process everything. What matters right now is that your wife and kid recover, particularly your wife, and that she has time to process everything. Like I said, your own desires and those of your family aren't more relevant than her mental well-being. It's been 10 days. Give her a break. In countries like mine, people don't get to see newborns until they are at least a month old for the sake of their immune system, even without a pandemic. Not the a-hole for feeling that way, but you would be the a-hole if you took your daughter to your parents behind your wife's back. Maybe try to include your mother-in-law in your life more. Video chats and maybe send her a lock of the baby's hair. That way, you can show your wife that your mother-in-law is important to you and to your baby. After that, you can revisit the meeting your family thing. Your wife is maybe being a little unreasonable, but actively doing something to upset her would be an a-hole move. She's still your wife. Best of luck to you. I think this is a lovely line of thought. Find some ways for mother-in-law to be included in special moments, even though it's just not realistic for her to be there in person right now. Everyone sucks here. Without the safety of the child issue at stake, she is an a-hole for disallowing family to see the baby for an open-ended period. Days for a mother to be first? Fine. Weeks? Possibly still okay. Months? Possibly forever? A-hole behavior. But you would be an a-hole for taking your daughter away without her consent. You may think your reasons are better, but at best you are asking to do the same thing she's doing. Make a large, irrevocable decision for her and without her say. Just as she doesn't get unilateral final say, you do not either. Work it out together, or expect that the loser in this situation, whether it is you or your wife, to carry possibly relationship-ending resentment ever after. Not the a-hole. She can't hold your kid hostage from family for months hoping travel will be allowed. Also, it's your kid too. But there could be something deeper than just that. Does she think your family isn't being safe?